Hi and welcome to the second episode of Knitknacker Natters. I can't believe there's a second episode, but apparently there is. For those of you who are new and just joining, I'm Fatima. I'm originally from the UK and I'm filming from Singapore. And this is a podcast mainly about knitting and crochet. Life in Singapore, the Far East, and so on and so forth. Welcome. For those of you who are taking the second look, thank you. Sorry about that. A frog in the throat. Thank you so much to everyone that's coming back. Thank you for all the encouraging words, the comments that people made, either privately, through Ravelry, on YouTube, on Instagram. I really appreciate it. So where to find me really? I'm on Instagram and Ravelry as Knitknacker. So pretty easy. You can follow me there, or you can send me a message on Ravelry if you want. Okay. I have show notes as well today, so I feel very impressed with myself for being somewhat organised. So yeah, I'm just going to run through the general format again. So we'll go through my FOs, my whips, what I'm hoping to do next time round. I actually have some acquisitions which I'm quite excited about, and then a little bit about life here, and my cultural segment. Okay, so let's get started. The reason I wanted to start with my FOs is because there's more of those than there are of my whips, which is very exciting. So, I don't know if you guys remember, last week I showed you my Harry Potter houses socks. They're in the Full Founders colourway by London House Yarns. So I don't know if you can see. So yesterday, let's start again. 2 weeks ago, I had a project half done. And I was halfway through the second sock. I just passed the heel and I had the rest of the foot to do. And lo and behold, we have 2 socks! Yay! So, as I mentioned last time, this is a BFL nylon sock yarn. My first time knitting with BFL, and initially I had said I wasn't sure about it, but actually love it. Sorry, it feels too early in the morning to be doing this. I knit it cuff down with 60 stitches, just a vanilla sock, and then I use the pattern for the rounded toe from the Rose City Rollers, and a Fish Lips Kiss heel. Now, I don't know if you can tell, but there's something wrong with this heel compared to this heel, and that's because I think I wasn't paying attention to my numbers and kind of decreased too much. So it looks a little bit pointy, but it's okay, it fits fine. And last week I had kind of sounded very confused as to why my rounded toe was a bit more pointy, and that's because I figured out as I was doing the second toe I didn't read the instructions correctly. So I think towards the end you're supposed to go down to a certain number of stitches per needle, and I read that as go down to a certain number of stitches, and hence the pointy toe. I figured it fits okay, and seeing as I'd already made the mistake on sock 1, I should do it on sock 2, so they look relatively the same. But yeah, so yeah, these are the second pair of finished socks, completely finished socks for myself. The first being my Rose City rollers, which were obviously shorties. They have taken me forever just because I keep going in and out in terms of finding time to knit them up, but I really like them. I want to wear them all the time, but the weather here is very hot, so yeah, they probably won't be getting as much wear as I would like until I'm in the UK or travelling somewhere cold or cooler. Okay, my FOs are all behind me. My second one is the 7th Baby Hat by Kelly Brooker. This was supposed to be for my cousin's new baby, but for whatever reason I started this on the wrong size needle, so it's much bigger, and when I finished it I tried it on my son who's just turned six months, and it fits him. So this is obviously going to be too big for a newborn baby, unless they have a huge baby, which I don't think they will. I did it out of Cascade 220 Superwash in a creamy colour, and this was the yarn, it was leftover yarn from the baby blanket that I made for my son. I'm not sure I want to give them a cream hat, so I'm thinking, can I dye this? I know nothing about dyeing, other than what I've watched on a few podcasts. Is it possible to dye something once it's already knit up? If not, this might become a charity hat instead. I don't have any dye, so it will have to be something natural, something that I would have at home. So any suggestions, please let me know. This is the 7th, you can see the detailing. That's probably better. Relatively easy to work up. I just wish I'd used the right type of needles. But yeah, so that's FO number 2, and FO number 3 is the one I'm most proud of. Now this isn't something that I had shown you last time, but it was, I was inspired by, well, everyone to try to do some garment knitting, and me and big projects, I tend to stay away. I'm getting a little bit more kind of adventurous, but generally it's not something, they're not my go-to projects because so I thought, how do I start garment knitting? I am going to I'm gonna do something small, baby knits. So that's what I did. I think Mina of the Knitting Expert has a sweater alarm for 2016, and I was expecting my baby boy beginning of Feb. So in the first week of January I cast on for this antler cardigan by Tin Can Knits. I had been looking at this pattern in November, December, umming and ahhing. I didn't pick the colourway. This is Madeline Tosh Vintage in the colourway Jade. I think it's a little bit girly if I'm honest, but my husband picked it out and I was like, okay, let's go with it, we'll make it work. I started it, like I said, the first week of January. and actually finished it before the baby was born. But he was a lot smaller than we had expected, so he was absolutely swimming in it. So I had no motivation whatsoever to sew in all the ends, to put on the buttons, and I was a busy mama. So that just didn't happen. And you ask, what's my motivation now? Well, next week we are going to the UK to visit family, and I understand that it's very hot there at the moment, but I figure he's going to need something on the plane. We've got quite a long journey, two planes, and it might get a bit cooler over there, who knows. So he might finally be able to get some wear out of this. So that was really my motivation, and also he's now gotten a lot bigger, and I tried this on him and it only just about fits now. I've blocked it, so I'm hoping he can get up to a month out of this. A little disappointed that he's not going to get more wear out of it, but we actually have another baby arriving in the family in September, and this was the baby that I was doing the baby hat for, and so I thought they'd be more than happy to take it off my hands. It sounds like I'm regifting, but basically they'd be more than happy to take it off my hands. I love the detailing on the yoke. I am very proud of myself for having done this. I really enjoyed the pattern. The thing that I found most difficult, I'm not very good at picking up stitches. I find it really difficult to do, and I had to pick up stitches for the button band on this, and that was such a nightmare. So I think I actually finished knitting pretty much everything on this within a week or so, because it's worsted weight, well, DK/worsted weight. So it was a relatively quick knit. It's a 0 to 6 month size. But procrastination, I just didn't know what to do with the button band, and I kind of tried it a few times before it finally took. It's not perfect, but it was my first attempt. I love it. My husband loves it. So yeah, it was really good. I have tons of the Madeline Tosh vintage left over. I say tons, I have probably enough. See this jade colour? It's very pretty, it's just not particularly bright. But it's okay. People often think that my son is a girl. Bless him. So I have a lot of that left over, so I'm gonna make a hat out of it, but more of that in my kind of upcoming project section. So that's all my FOs. Kind of have a project half done. I have I signed up to do the 5 Shawl 5 Day Challenge by Frenchie of Aroha Knits, which is basically a 5-day challenge where she kind of teaches you the construction of different shawls for people who want to just learn about construction, people who are interested in design. I was just interested in construction. I doubt very much that I would be doing any designing. I just thought it would be interesting, and you basically knit up small kind of prototypes of different shawl shapes, and she lets you know which shawl you'll be doing at 8 AM CST, which is 9 PM Singapore time. So I'm always a little behind, and she kind of does a Facebook video as well at 11 p.m. Singapore time. So the first 2 days I kind of was very gung-ho about it, and they were easy shapes, so it was easy for me to kind of knit them up before the video tutorial or Q&A session. The day 3 I was just very, very tired and didn't actually get to do it until after I woke up in the morning. And then day 4, we're currently on day 4, but day 4 has so far been a bit of a disaster for me, but I will show you. So the shawl types that we have done so far is the classic triangular shawl, which is quite straightforward. One of the things this has allowed me to kind of work on is my garter tab cast on, which doesn't look very tidy in this one, but I think it gets better in the second shawl. The second one was a 3/4 shawl, so it's pretty much 2 triangles with an extra triangle added on, as she says. And I think my garter tab cast on is much, much better here. And then shawl number 3 is the crescent shawl. Not blocked very well, sorry. And again, this is a shape that I'm used to because this is the shape of the talisman shawl that I'm currently knitting on. So yeah. Day 4 is the swirl shawl, so you kind of knit it in the round, and that's fine because I've kind of done some knitting where I started in the round, so I've kind of tried that technique before. The problem that I've had so far is that where you increase with yarn overs, and I've tried it both on kind of a circular needle, so magic looping, and also on DPNs, and it's just very gappy. I think I was probably using kind of needles that were too big, so it's just been a bit of a disaster and fiddly and frustrating, and I don't know if I'm going to give it another go or if I'm just going to give it a miss. I embarrassingly posted the disaster that it was last night on Instagram, and yeah, it's just so frustrating because it's a very pretty shawl. It might be that what I need to do is, instead of using kind of sock weight yarn, which is what I was using, I need to use kind of a heavier yarn, so a DK or a worsted, and it might be that it's less fiddly that way and easier to do. But yeah, that hasn't been going too great, so I'm a little bit embarrassed about that. But these were really fun to do, and it helped me to understand construction better and different types of shawls and stuff. And Frenchie's really lovely, and she kind of goes through how to wear things, how to what kind of things you need to think about if you're putting a pattern in, a stitch pattern in. I'm really sorry, really froggy coat. My son is weaning at the moment, and in the last 2 weeks, or since the last podcast, his sleep patterns have been all over the place. So whereas before I had a little boy that slept pretty much through the night and woke up at 4 a.m, I now have a son who wakes up multiple times at night, and he doesn't seem to appreciate that it's the middle of the night. So it's not so much that he wants to feed, he wants to play, or he just sits there and feels very frustrated with everything. So we've not slept very much last night, and I should be used to this, but we'd gotten into a pattern where we were beginning to get sleep at night again. So regressing is not great. especially because he's a little bit windy during the day as well, with how the evening is going. So, but hey, that might explain the fog in the throat. What am I drinking? I am drinking some coffee, some Dow Egbert's enticing chocolate coffee. So yeah, I am both a coffee and a tea drinker. I know a lot of knitters are, or seem to be predominantly kind of tea drinkers. I like both. I started out drinking coffee, and when I was in university, I picked up drinking tea, or I learned to drink tea whilst I was in just plain English breakfast tea whilst I was in university. And then after I got married, I picked up drinking all other types of tea. I think I did some kind of a detox before I got married, and it was all about green tea then. But green tea used to give me headaches, so I dabble in green tea, flavoured green teas. But yeah, it just so happens that I haven't had my morning coffee yet, and so this is it today. And it's yummy, but you do need to drink it whilst it's still hot, because otherwise it starts to taste a little bit bitter. Okay, so I only have one whip, so that's a work in progress. I'm halfway through. Oh, apologies for this. I'm halfway through a row. So this, if you watch the first podcast, is my talisman shawl, and it has grown significantly. If you can see this progress keeper, this is where I was, and I've managed to do up to here. So I am up to about 70% done with the shawl. As I mentioned last time, the talisman shawl, which is by Helen Stewart. I don't want to give anything away. I'll show you this. Helen kindly puts in stitch counts and percentages for every row for the stitch count of the pattern, and so that's great. So hence I know that I'm 70% done. Each row is taking me a lot longer now because there are, I want to say 300 or sorry, I'm at 297, so 297 stitches, and although it's mostly kind of stockinette, with the increases at the side, and some pattern rows, which I'm not going to give it away, obviously, because it's a paper pattern, or rather I'm on the stockinette section. It should go by relatively quickly, but it's taking a while. The other thing I noticed is that I'm using some homespun house Baachen, which is Molly's MCN base. Lovely, really, really soft, but quite warm to work with after a while, especially kind of with the humidity here in Singapore. So there are times where I want to just be working on this, but reach out for something else just because it's just too hot. So yeah. So I don't know if I mentioned, this is the Festival of Lights colourway. And last time I had said that it reminds me of a bushel of apples. It really does. It reminds me so much of a bushel of apples. Although when I say that, I think more reds with green, but this just does. I'm enjoying it, and I'm on the home stretch. I see that I'm on the home stretch, so I'm hoping that this will be done by my next podcast, although I am going to the UK next week and I don't know if I'm going to be taking this with me, and I don't know that I'll be able to finish before I fly out on Monday because I have visitors coming. So yes, there was something that I wanted to mention. Right, so last time I had mentioned that this was the first of Helen's patterns that I had actually knit, which is an absolute lie, because I then went on to show you all the Twinkle Twinkle blanket that I had made for my son, and I should have clicked, it's also Helen's pattern. So Helen is Helen Stewart of the Curious Handmade podcast, and the pattern on both the blanket and the shawl is the same, but it looks different because of how it's worked into the main body of both the shawl and blanket. And I kept thinking, oh, I know how to do this stitch because I've done it before, and obviously because I hadn't done the blanket recently, I'd completely forgotten who it was by, and it was only when I was kind of doing the editing very badly, I might add, on the podcast last time round, that I realised, and I was going to put in a disclaimer, and then I didn't. So, but yes, that's my only whip at the moment. What do I want to do? So like I mentioned, I am going away for a couple of weeks, and I'm trying to think about what I'd like to take with me. I think I'm going to have quite a bit of knitting time. I might be absolutely mistaken. I always get really excited and carried away, and want to take as many things as Nina takes when she goes travelling, and can't even do 1% of what she does usually. And this was pre-baby, so I'm not even sure what it's going to be like post-baby. But I have 3 things that I would like to do. Like I mentioned, I have a sizable amount of the Madeline Tosh vintage, so I thought what I would do is to make a antler toque, which is also by Knitknacker Natters, and I would make their baby size, and I figured that I would give that to my cousin's baby a lot, and I'd also leave the sweater for them as well. So I'll wash it and give it to them, so they have a set, so a sweater and the toque. I think it'll be a relatively quick knit, so I'm hoping that I might even be able to do that on the plane, depending on how much baby entertaining and baby sleeping there is. But let's see. I think the Hey Sister podcast has a cal upcoming for hats, and I'm not sure if they start in August or what. If they're starting in August, it can be part of that. So yeah, so that's project 1. I might have a picture actually. I do have a picture because I have the pattern already. Sorry, bear with me. So it looks like that. So it's pretty much the same kind of cable pattern as the cardi. So yeah, And my next thing that I want to do is the sugar plum shawl. Actually, I want to knit all the shawls at the moment, and I really, I signed up to the Shawl Society, so Helen is releasing a series of patterns, and I forget what the name of the second shawl she's released of the talisman is, but I will insert the name here. I saw some beautiful ones on Instagram, and shout out to Kim. Hi Kim. I fell in love with hers. She's done hers with beads, and it's absolutely stunning, and that's how I want to do mine, but I might wait because I really want to knit Mina's sugar plum shawl as well, and she did hers in the Wool Barnes silky singles, and I thought I had some silky singles, so I was just like, I'm doing that, I'm going to take that with me. I'm going to take that with me. And then last night I was looking through a couple of boxes of my stash, and I found some Wool Barn yarn, but it wasn't silky singles, it was smooth sock. So I have this, and the smooth sock is a superwash 4-ply, fingering 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon, and there's 425 meters, 464 yards in this. It's in the colorway cerise, so a lot darker. I'm a purple is purpley, or purple is one of my favourite colours, and this is very plummy. So I'm thinking of taking this with me. I'm a little daunted by it because it looks very lacy, and it might be that I take it with me and then start and then find it too difficult, so I have to put it away for a bit. But let's see, the aim is to get a shawl done by the end of August so I can submit it to her Sugar Plum Shawl account, or into her Sugar Plum Shawl account. And then the next thing that I'm going to be doing is a test knit. So I enjoyed making a couple of kind of baby sweaters and cardies, and I'd really like to do something for myself, and I actually bought some yarn for a featherweight, but I'm still deciding between a custom fit and the standard pattern kind of sizes, and I think I feel like I need someone to help measure or get my exact measurements for me, or check my measurements for me. So I decided to put that on hold for a bit, but I was on Instagram, and Libby Johnson, who is Truly Myrtle, put a call out for test knitters for a new sweater design that she has come up with, and I like sweaters with positive ease. I don't really get much opportunity to wear kind of knitwear, and if it's too fitted, it just, for me, it feels too hot, and it's not really my style anyway. So this seems like a lovely first adult sweater to get involved with, so I offered to test knit it. I have test knit for her before, and yeah, that's what I'm probably going to do. I didn't have enough sweater quantities of yarn, and although I have made a very quick purchase on Etsy today for some from Circus Sonic Handmade, my first ever purchase from her, I don't think it's going to get to me in time, and I wasn't sure if it would reach me in the UK in time. So I've actually ordered some Barocco vintage DK, and I think I'm going to use that. We'll see. So I've ordered it, and it will be coming to my parents, and depending on how it feels, it will probably be used for the test knit, but if not, I'll have to go hunting for something else. One of the great things about being in the UK is that you have access to online stores that will literally deliver within 24 hours if necessary, or I can go to a yarn store, which would be fantastic too. So let's see, but that's my plan. I might cut on another pair of socks. Actually, which reminds me that last time round I had showed you guys a pair of my husband's socks that I made for my husband, but I had mentioned that the bind off wasn't stretchy enough, so he was having difficulty kind of getting it up his leg or even over his heel. And I think Katie Ann, hi Katie, left me a message to say, have you tried Jenny's stretchy bind off? I am embarrassed to say I haven't fixed those socks yet. It's in the timeout pile. Again, having to undo it. I might actually take them to the UK with me, and see if someone can help to just frog it up to a point and then take it from there. So thank you for the tip. I did look it up, Katie, and I will give it a try. My husband keeps asking where his socks are, and I have to change the subject very, very quickly. Okay, how are we doing for time? Almost up to half an hour. So I have to be honest, I'm not often going to have acquisitions, just because I'm not working at the moment, so I can't always justify the amount of money I'm spending on yarn. And also I have to kind of factor in shipping costs, and shipping to Singapore can sometimes be quite reasonable and sometimes isn't. So I kind of have random splurges, often unjustified, but who needs to justify a purchase? And so when I have those random ones, you might get to see some stuff, or if there's a specific project that I really want to make and I don't have the yarn, then I will possibly buy some stuff. But this time around I do have things to show you, and one of them arrived just yesterday. So I'm going to start with this one first. I wanted to take part in the Canada cow. I want to take part in all the cows. I'm not going to be able to, but c'est la vie. So this is from the Cozy Knitter, and it's fingering weight, 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon. It's in a pinky lilac-y colour, and what I liked about this is it's striping, and the white has, or the cream has speckles in it, which you can't really tell. I don't know if you can see any of the speckles here. Sorry. I think they're blue or turquoise. But you can online. So yeah, it's the Cozy Knitter. She's on Etsy. So I got something for me and then something for my husband, and he picked this out himself. So so these are also, oh sorry, the colourway is not Bliss, the base is Bliss. The colourway is Princess Party. Yeah. Okay. So this is again on Bliss, and these are kind of 2 tones of blue with some white in between, and this colourway is called Come Together. I'm not sure if that's a sports reference or what. I don't know if you can see the 2 tones of blue in this. But yeah, so initially it was supposed to be a purchase for him, and then I was like, well, if I'm buying him something, I should buy myself something. So yeah, that was from the Cozy Knitter. Another Canadian purchase was from I Heart You, and I was watching Fawn and the Fox, and she had a few really lovely project bags from I Heart You. So I had to get online and have a look. And one of them is this lovely quilted project bag. I can't remember if this is a sock one or if this is a medium one. In these kind of teals and greens. And it's really lovely, and it's pretty sturdy. It has interfacing, but it's not, so it does stand up. Oh, you can't really tell, but it does stand up by itself once you open it up. But it's not too stiff, which is nice. I tend to like quilted bags. They give me I like the sturdy kind of feel of them. And the other one I got just because it was cute, and it was her fox's print. So yeah, they're both the same size. I have no idea what I'm going to put in them yet. But yeah, I don't know if you can see. There's a fox with, or there's a few foxes with sweaters on. Oh no, that's a waistcoat. Hang on, the one with the sweater is on the back. So yeah, that was from I Heart You. I'm not sure if it was, I think it was the weekend after I did the first podcast, and I was feeling a bit like about everything, and I think that's when I went a little bit crazy. So hence all the purchases, and there might be a few things coming still. And then I got some stuff from the Gnarled Paw, whom I've bought stuff from before. She's also on Etsy, and the first one I got was this gorgeous 4-ply sock yarn, and it's got peaches in it, and baby blues and greens and yellows, and I think some pink if I'm not mistaken, and a little bit of lilac, and this is on her flocculent base, which is an MCN, 80% superwash merino, 10% cashmere, 10% nylon, and the colourway is called Landscape. I love this. This is going to be a shawl. It's beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So I got that. And then this is completely outside of my comfort zone. But it reminded me of Singapore. It reminded me of this region. It's a bit like that. It's on her proper sock base, which is 4-ply sock yarn, 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon, and this colourway is called Modern Art, and it's got red in it, and pinks and purples and yellow and orange and green, and it's just fantastic. It's so not my colours, so I have no idea what I'm going to do with it, but I saw it and I just thought, I need some of this. So yeah, and gnarled paw are quite good because they do a reward system. So if I can show you. So Liz does a reward system. So I got a little invoice or a rewards card from her, and I can't remember how much it is exactly now, but I think for every $50 you get a certain number of points over, and normally that's only for your purchases and it doesn't take into account shipping, but because shipping is quite a bit, and as she put it, it's the equivalent of another skein of yarn to Singapore. She's actually given me some rewards for my shipping as well, which was really lovely of her. Thank you, Liz. So yeah, do check her out. She's got some really lovely stuff, and I have bought from her before. So yeah. So I think that's all my purchases for now. Just before I came on, like I mentioned, I did kind of make a hefty purchase on Tonic Handmade, who's an Australian dyer who does amazing colorways based on birds, and she was going to be doing an update. I think she's had her shop on holiday for a while, and she was going to be doing an update, and I really do want to make sweaters. I want to make all the sweaters, but again, I don't really have much use for making sweaters, but that doesn't mean that I don't want to make them. So I'm investing in some sweater quantities of yarn. So yeah. So those are my acquisitions for the moment, and yeah, it brings me onto the culture section. If you're not interested, thank you for joining me thus far. Please, if you've liked what you saw, then press the like button, subscribe, tell your friends. And thank you, and come back again. I should mention that if this continues, which my husband is really pushing me to do, and the reason why he's giving me an extra push is because he knows that I'm an introvert at heart, and someone needs to give me a bit of a nudge to carry on. Open it up. So yeah, if I do this again, it's more than likely going to be a bi-monthly or twice a month. It's going to be twice a month, so every other week, just because they have a baby, we're not getting as much sleep anymore, and I don't want to be doing something more regularly if I'm not going to have anything to show you. And this way there's some pressure on me to make time to knit, but not too much that I'm not going to want to do it. So yeah. Right, moving on. I've had a busy couple of weeks in that I feel like so much has happened and I'm not actually sure what has, but I've done a few things that I wanted to briefly mention. So the footage that you saw as part of the opening credits was from a weekend trip to the Marine Barrage in Singapore, and for those of you who don't know much about Singapore doesn't really have its own water source. It's predominantly kind of marsh or swampland, and so one of the first things that the country kind of put a lot of emphasis into when Singapore was formed was to try and create a water source. So the barrage was kind of built to, I have to remember this correctly, to siphon off water from the sea or create a division between the water from the sea, so that they could have a freshwater reserve, or could create a freshwater reserve. And the day that we went, it was beautiful. It was kind of late afternoon, evening. People were flying kites, having picnics, and there was a race happening at the time, so you could see people participating in the race, and you get to see a lot of the iconic skyline of Singapore, which is things around Marina Bay, so the Marina Bay Sands Hotel. You can see the Singapore Flyer, a few other things which I forgot now. The view is much better than it shoots on camera. Everything seems very small, but actually the skyline is quite big when you're seeing it in person. And it was one of the first places actually that my husband took me to when I first came to Singapore. And I got given a history lesson on water and the importance of water, and especially in kind of Singapore's history. I zoned out, but still. So bear with me a second. I just got an alert that's come up. Okay. So yes, we went to Marine Barrage, which was really nice, and I kind of wish we'd taken a picnic along as well. I also went to the Botanical Gardens very briefly. I don't have any footage from there, just because it was a very quick coffee with a new friend that I've made, and so there wasn't that much kind of walking around all time. Kind of sat at a cafe and then went for a brief kind of 5 to 10 minute walk, but I will definitely be going back again. I think this was my first proper kind of trip to the Botanical Gardens. My husband has taken me before, but it was in the dead of night, and I think he took me to a corner which there wasn't anything to see. He kind of went, I jog around here, or I run around here, and I kind of thought, don't really want to go again. But it is a heritage site, so I do want to show it to you guys, and I do want to see more of it myself, so I will definitely be making another trip, probably many trips, during my stay here, so that I can show you guys as well how beautiful it is, because what I did see the other day was really pretty and really serene, and we had great weather, so it was overcast to a point, so it wasn't too hot, it wasn't too sunny, and it wasn't too humid as well. One of the other things that I've done just this week actually was to go and see my first play in Singapore, and it was called GRC. It's by a Singaporean writer. It's a political satire based on the premise that the majority of the population I'm so sorry about my voice. The majority of the population are Malay instead of Chinese, which is what the racial mix is at present, and how this would affect government and the workings of government, and it was predominantly in Malay, so my brother-in-law is actually a play critic, so he goes to see many plays, he's probably seeing plays every week, and he was the one that kind of recommended this to us, and I love foreign movies. I'm fine with subtitles, but I've never seen a foreign play, and over here they often have plays in different languages and they subtitle them. I think watching a play in a different language and kind of having to read subtitles takes away from kind of seeing what's happening on stage to a degree, facial expressions, etc. But I mean, it still kind of works. I think British humour is probably slightly different to Singaporean humour, so some of the bits that people found really hilarious, I just didn't find funny, I'm sorry. My husband says it's because I don't understand all the ins and outs of Singaporean politics yet. But I've had the same experience when I went to see a movie in the cinema, so yeah. Okay, so that's kind of what I've been doing, but what I actually wanted to talk to you about in my culture section was about a book that I've read. I noticed a lot of podcasters are talking about books, and I'm really trying to make a concerted effort to do some more reading or kind of factor reading in to my everyday. And I love reading and I used to read a lot, but everything is kind of taking a back seat at present. So the book that I want to talk to you about, I don't have. I will insert a picture here. It's actually called Auntie Lee's Delights by an author called Obida Yu. This is her second book, and this has been lent to me by my brother-in-law. But the first one I picked up at the library, and it was in the Singapore section. And one of the things I've been trying to do is to visit the library for books, because books are very expensive here, and pick out things that will hopefully give me more of an insight into kind of culture and life in Singapore. Singapore is a very new country. It's going to be celebrating its 51st year this year, and it's kind of a hodgepodge of a few different kind of races and cultures. And Auntie Lee's Delights was brilliant at giving me an insight into Singapore culture, and I really wish that I had read it earlier on, because it really helped me understand people and the way things are here. Was it a good book? I'll tell you about that in just a sec. Sorry about that, my son just woke up from his nap, so I just needed to make sure he was okay. Where was I? Okay, Auntie Lee's Delights. Like I said, it was a brilliant introduction into kind of Singapore life and culture. And it's based around a lovely old lady called Auntie Lee. Here it's traditional, cultural, I'm not sure what, to call the elders auntie or uncle. It doesn't matter who they are, even if they're complete strangers. If they're elder to you, you will probably call them auntie or uncle. Even if you meet them for like 5 seconds and that's it, your entire life. So yeah, Auntie Lee's, I'm sorry. Okay, so the book is based around a lovely old lady called Auntie Lee, who is a widow, and she has a little kind of shop front / cafe where she cooks meals. And I've noticed in Far East Asia that a lot of things occur around food and meals. It's a very important part of life here, which for a foodie like me is absolutely fine. And she specialises in Peranakan cuisine, which is like a Chinese Malay cuisine, and she likes to feed people and feed their emotions, etc. So that's the kind of main character, and it's actually supposed to be a mystery, and you get to explore a lot of kind of Singapore culture through this mystery. Kind of the book opens up to someone, to people finding a dead body, and how people are really like almost excited about this news, because crime is very low in Singapore, and everyone's inquisitive and asking questions, and it goes into various kind of cultural traits and traditions. Hierarchy explores, a little bit about, it explores a little bit about the workings of the Singapore police, and it brings up, it introduces a lot of Singlish as well to the reader. So Singlish is kind of English with some Singaporean words mixed in, and those words kind of are made up of many of the different dialects, Chinese dialects, or some Malay or some Tamil. And one of the ones that comes up very early on is the word kiasu, and kiasu is used routinely to describe Singaporeans. They don't want to miss out on an opportunity. There are some not very nice descriptions of the word kiasu, and there are some better descriptions of the word kiasu, but Singaporeans are known to be kiasu. And the little old lady is described as being kiasu. She wants to get involved, she's really interested in the murder, she gets involved in trying to solve the murder, and gets involved in the people's lives that surround kind of the murder. So yeah, I really enjoyed probably the first kind of 2/3 of the book, and then I felt when it kind of came to tying up the end, things happened very quickly and I couldn't understand the writer's thought process or how they came to certain conclusions. So I was a little bit disappointed, but from a cultural perspective it was fantastic. And like I said, the first 2/3 was really good, easy reading. So yeah, I was mentioning this to my brother-in-law, and like I said, he's a play critic, and he gets invited to a lot of writing events, etc. And I think he met Evita Yu, and he got her first 2 books. She's written 3, and this is the second one. So I mentioned what I told you guys, so my thoughts on the book, and he was like, try the second one and see what you think. So I'm going to try this one and see if the writing is better. Evita Yu has actually written this for a non-Singaporean audience, which is why she explains a lot of the cultural aspects of this community, and hence I thought it was really, really good. So if you want to find out about a different culture, it's worth trying to find her books. And if you like food, she also has recipes at the back, which is fantastic, which I really did enjoy. So yeah, okay, that's a wrap for me. My little boy's hungry, so I'm going to have to go. Thank you again for spending some time with me. Please let me know your thoughts. Please let me know about ways that I can improve things or change things at all. Like I mentioned, I'm not particularly tech savvy, but I'm open to learning. So yeah, all feedback is good feedback. If you liked what you saw, press like, subscribe, tell people about the channel. Oh, before I go, last time I had mentioned having applied to join a knitting group on Meetup, and I had been rejected. And I did get some comments about that and about how knitters are amazingly friendly and people were really surprised. Likewise, I was so shocked about that whole incident, but I have discovered another knitting group on Ravelry, and they have knit outs once a month. It's usually the last Saturday of the month, and so there's one tomorrow, and it's open to everyone, which is fantastic. So I'm really excited about kind of meeting other knitters and crocheters in Singapore and seeing what kind of things they knit, and just meeting new people. And the lovely Lois, who is kind of, I think, the moderator for the Singapore Knitters group on Ravelry, actually reached out to me on Instagram too, so I'm quite excited about meeting her. She has designed a couple of things as well, which I'm hoping to discuss kind of in future episodes. So yeah, I almost forgot to mention that to you, but I just wanted to say, do not despair. I have found some nitty people, hopefully. So let's see how it goes. I will tell you all about it next time round. So anyway, like, subscribe, tell everyone about it, and I hope to see you in a couple of weeks' time. Take care. Bye bye.